In the sleepy town of Crane, Missouri, where the fields sway like golden oceans and the sky feels close enough to touch, lived a 16-year-old boy named Gabriel Wells. Gabriel's world was small, but boundless in spirit. He couldn't walk or talk, and his days were spent in a wheelchair or tucked into his bed, gazing out at the endless cornfields. But what truly set Gabriel apart was his imagination, vivid as a storm and wild as the sea. And there, behind his modest home, sat his greatest treasure, the pirate ship he dreamed up and built with the help of friends and family, pieced together from scrap wood and painted with bright, bold colors. It wasn't just any ship, it was a vessel ready to sail, even if it had never seen water bigger than a puddle. Gabriel wasn't alone on his adventures. By his side was George, a mischievous monkey with a curly tail and a knack for trouble. George wasn't like any other monkey. He had a spark in his eyes and a habit of chattering like he was telling secrets. Together, they were the crew of the Kaspracy, captain and first mate, ready for the wildest journey imaginable, getting their ship from the heart of Missouri to the mighty ocean. One crisp morning, as the sun painted the sky in shades of peach and lavender, Gabriel wheeled himself to the ship's deck, George scampering along beside him, clutching a shiny compass he'd swiped from Gabriel's desk. The Kaspracy stood proud, its wooden planks creaking softly. The figurehead, a carved wooden mermaid with a knowing smile, glinting in the light. Gabriel's heart thumped with excitement. Today was the day they'd set sail, but how would a ship find its way to the sea in landlocked Crane? That's where the legend of Crane Creek came in. Whispers in Crane told of old Civil War tunnels, hidden deep beneath the fields, built long ago to hide secrets and soldiers. Locals said these tunnels could be flooded just right, turning them into secret rivers that twisted and turned through the earth. Gabriel had heard the stories, and with George's eager chattering, they decided to chase the impossible. If they could flood the tunnels, the Kaspracy could sail through, carried by the current, all the way to the ocean. Gabriel's first challenge was finding the tunnel's entrance. He'd overheard old Mr. Jenkins at the town market talking about a hidden grate near the creek, covered in weeds and forgotten by time. With George swinging from branch to branch, they headed toward Crane Creek, the air buzzing with summer heat and the hum of cicadas. The creek was a gentle stream, its water sparkling like scattered diamonds. Gabriel scanned the banks, his eyes sharp for any sign of a grate. George, ever impatient, leaped into the bushes, rustling leaves and squeaking until he tugged at a patch of overgrown vines. There it was, a rusted metal grate, half buried in the earth, just like the stories said. Gabriel's heart raced. He used his wheelchair's controls to nudge closer, and George helped by prying at the vines with nimble fingers. Together, they uncovered the grate, its bars cold and heavy. But the tunnels were dry as bone, and without water, their ship was going nowhere. Gabriel needed a way to flood them. He remembered another tale, a forgotten dam upstream, built during the war to divert water into the tunnels. If they could open it, the creek's flow would rush below, filling the tunnels with the power to carry the Kaspracy. But the dam was miles away, and Gabriel's wheelchair couldn't handle the rocky terrain. George, however, was fearless. Gabriel sketched a rough map on a notepad, showing George the path to the dam. The monkey tilted his head, chatted excitedly, and darted off, his tail flicking like a flag. Hours passed, and Gabriel waited by the grate, the sun climbing higher. He imagined the Kaspracy gliding through hidden rivers, dodging rocks, and bursting into the ocean's vastness. Finally, a distant rumble echoed through the ground, followed by a rush of water. George had done it. The monkey swung back, soaked but triumphant, his fur dripping as he leaped onto Gabriel's shoulder. The grate began to hum with the sound of water surging below, the tunnels coming alive. Now came the hardest part, getting the Kaspracy to the tunnel's entrance. The ship was big, built for adventure, and Crane's narrow paths weren't made for pirates. Gabriel rallied the town. Kids from school, curious about his wild plan, showed up with ropes and ideas. They tied the ship to sturdy carts, pulled by strong-willed neighbors, and even a few stubborn mules. George scampered atop the mast, pointing the way like a true first mate. With everyone's help, they inched the Kaspracy to the creek, its wheels groaning but its spirit soaring. As dusk fell, painting the sky in purples and golds, they positioned the ship above the now gushing tunnel entrance. The water roared below, ready to carry them on. Gabriel, with George perched beside him, climbed aboard, his wheelchair strapped securely to the deck. The townsfolk cheered, their voices a chorus of encouragement. With a mighty push, the Kaspracy slid into the flooded tunnel, the water catching it like a promise. Inside, the tunnels were a world of shadows and echoes. The ship rocked gently, the current pulling it forward. Gabriel felt the thrill of adventure, his eyes wide with wonder. George chattered, gripping the wheel as if he knew exactly where to go. The walls glistened with water, and faint lights from glowworms danced like stars. They sailed through twists and turns, the dodging jagged rocks with surprising grace. Each bump and splash felt like a victory. Hours stretched on, the journey a blur of dark and light. Finally, the tunnel opened into a wide cavern, and beyond it, the sound of waves crashing. The ocean. The surged forward, bursting into the salty air, the horizon stretching endless and blue. Gabriel's heart soared as the ship rocked on the waves, George whooping with joy. They'd done it, sailed from Crane, Missouri, to the heart of the sea. The ocean welcomed them, its vastness a playground for their pirate hearts. Gabriel and George set their course for adventure, ready for whatever the sea would bring. And as they sailed into the sunset, the legend of the boy and his monkey who conquered the impossible grew in the hearts of Crane forever.